Good morning, everyone. I'm very humbled to be here. I'm going to be sharing with you what the Lord has put on my heart. And, friends, uh, pastoral work is a serious thing that the Lord has called us to do. And if you are in a pastoral ministry, you know this that I'm talking about. You have ever experienced how much pastoral work is so much demanding. And one of the things that pastoral work demands is that a pastor has to be informed more than anyone else in this life. That's actually according to my experience of life. And today I've come to share with you encouragement as pastors to read. Encouragement, but it does not only go to the pastors, but also even Christians. I believe that Christians need to read many books as possible. And so I've come with one book here that I want to be introducing to every one of us. It blessed my heart and I want to share it with you that you may have it on your shelves and read it. um, Someone said that visit many good books but live in the Bible. That's Spurgeon. Spurgeon said such a word that encouraging people to visit many good books, but then live in the Bible. I don't deny that truth. The Bible is ultimate, but good books are also good for ministry. That's why I've been introducing this book to all of us who are pastors. This book has been written by Richard Baxter. Everyone maybe knows him. This book is Ministry, the Ministry We Need, and it is also Reformed Pastor. Now, I read the book and I recommend everyone to have this book, not just on your shelf, but have it, read it, and make friends with it. You'll be fellowshipping with actually a best person that I've ever seen, a best pastor who have ever lived, Richard Baxter. So this this man has been a pastor. He pastored at his young age. He was born in 1615. That's when he was born. And Richard Baxter, he did not go to many schools. When you read his books, you realize that he really does a good work. But then he just attended informal education. And this even gives hope to those pastors who have no master's, doctorate, but you are pastoring. It is very possible, like Richard Baxter, that you really stand or hang around those who went to school and be able to learn. The problem we have now is that many pastors do not want to learn, but he was willing to learn informally. He did not go to any university, but those who are studying theology, they are reading his books. And so you may have this book, and I want to cultivate in every one of us this discipline of reading, but not only just reading, but reading these books that will brace you, that will polish your skills and polish your career as a pastor. So, Richard Baxter, though he was not educated, he did a good job, and I recommend you to read this book. Simply speaking about his ministry, Richard Baxter started his ministry when he was just young. I want to tell you who is very young and you are called to the ministry, and maybe you are waiting for any type of age, but no, don't wait. Richard Baxter, just at his 17 years, he started his ministry, and he pastoral ministry started it. And when he was pastoring in a church called Kidderminster. That's the church that he was pastoring, and this was in a simple town. That's where he started his ministry. Simple town whereby few people were in the city, and converted city. But when he was pastoring this church, it is recognized that he was such a man who was able to help people, to lead many people to Christ, and that city, many people were converted in that city where he was pastoring. Some of the methods that he used when he was pastoring this city is that he was preaching. He he spent his time preaching the gospel. The gospel, now he realized the gospel is the only thing that can bring change and transformation in the community. So Richard Baxter, first thing that he remembered and he did was that he preached this very gospel to the people. He preached good sermons to the people, but not only good sermons to the people in the congregation, but he even took a step and went house to house visitation. And when he visited them, he did many things, including pastoring. And if you're a pastor, you may recognize or appreciate the fact that yes, you minister to the congregation, but also when a sermon is preached to one person, a single family, there's a way that it boosts their faith more and more. Not only that, but also in his visitation, he also used the method of discipling. He discipled many people as he can. He visited them, and also pastoral counseling. He was doing it home, house by house, but also inviting people to find him in the office. He was a man who was available for the people, and this is the pastoral ministry. I cannot talk about pastoral ministry without talking about being there for the people. Once you enter into ministry, you are telling the Lord that I am here. And remember what the Lord told Peter. Many times he called him and told him one word: feed my sheep. And if you are entering or you are already into ministry of pastorship, then know that you have said, I am present, Lord, to pastor you people, and you have to be there for them. So Richard Baxter did this, and no wonder he has the credit of writing this book. He's not writing the things, he's writing what he lived. He's recommending what worked in his ministry. And so many of us have to learn to read this book if we want to become pastors. Amazing things. Maybe some people, they are when they hear word reformed, they are biased. But when Richard Baxter is talking about this reformed, he's not just talking about anything else, but this is this word reformed that he uses in this book is using it just to mean reformed in, renewal in practice. It's calling people, it's calling the pastors to be renewed in their practice of their pastoral work. And indeed, I think in this generation, we need to be renewed. We need to be renewed in our pastoral work. That's why many experience in Rwanda, many churches are being closed. And maybe government may have their biasness when they're doing this, but this fact that we as Christians may not deny is that pastoral work has been watered, not only in Rwanda, but in other places. That's why we need to be reformed. We need to be renewed in our practice of doing the ministry. If not, then we shall continue to face all the challenges that we face. So, quickly entering into this book that I'm recommending everyone to read. This book I can divide it into two important things that Richard Baxter raises. One sticks in my heart so much. It is where he starts. His first chapter is talking about taking care of yourself. He says that when you're when you're a pastor, the first duty is not just to preach, but it's first to take care of yourself. He's telling all the pastors that the first thing that you have to do is to take care of yourself. And he gives us 5 ways that a minister ought to keep watch over himself in this book. If you want to see how you can keep watch over yourself, 5 ways that simply you can watch over yourselves, then I recommend you to read. But quickly going through, mentioning but few of them. One, he says that you have to take care of yourself as pastor to make sure that the saving grace has regenerated your own soul. Sometimes you have pastors who preach saving grace of God, but themselves are not saved. So you have to take care of yourself to see that this saving grace that you preach to others, you are preaching it to yourself. And here he made a very amazing statement for me that sticks in my mind, that take care of yourself that you may not starve when you are feeding other people. That take care of yourself, unless you will go into the fire that you are calling others to do what? Others to free from. That's a very serious statement for us as pastors. So he urges that we take care of ourselves. And he also continues and says that take care of yourself, that the preaching that you preach to others, you will first preach to yourself. Preach it to yourself. Challenge yourself with the message that you are planning to take to the believers on Sunday. You know, he wants to see that you yourself understand that you need that gospel that you are taking. You need that challenge that you are taking to others. You need that rebuke that you are taking to others in the first place. That's what he urges in taking care of yourself. One more thing to mention by few also, he says that make sure that you are not lacking the qualifications necessary for your pastoral work. There are qualifications that are necessary for your pastoral work. He says that make sure that you're not lacking them. And those, quickly talking about the Bible talks about them in First Timothy chapter 3, and also when you read Titus chapter 1, those books tells us the qualifications that are needed for a pastor. See whether you have all those qualifications, and if you don't have them, then pause a bit, pray, and let God deal with your heart until you have them, and then be able to minister to other people. And he also says this, I cannot go without mentioning. He says that make sure you don't live in those sins that you preach against. Sometimes you have pastors who are preaching against some sins: fornications, lies, and greedy of money, and greed of everything, covetousness, all those things. We preach against them, but sometimes we find you are a pastor and you are living in such a sins, and amazing things, you don't evaluate your life, you don't take care of them, you are not worried about them. He reminds us that take care of yourself, that you may not be into those sins that you speak against. This part, he speaks about taking care of yourself. You want to take care of yourself as a pastor? Read. I've just given you few of the 5, and he does a good job to recommend you to take care of yourself as a pastor. The other thing that he talks about, I want to introduce to you, is that he gives us again seven primary duties of biblical shepherdship. When we want to be a shepherd, he gives us biblical shepherding, seven primary duties of a biblical shepherding. When you want to shepherd people in a biblical way, he has for you seven. He has for you seven duties that you do, mentioning as I did but few. He says that labor for the conversion of the unconverted. This is the duty of the pastor. Remember what the disciples chose to do in Act. They chose to devote themselves in preaching of the word and prayer. A pastor, your first duty is to pastor, is to preach and teach the word of God, is to pray for the people and pray for yourself. This is the first duty that he says. He also says that you have to study, that you be able to answer and root those who are converted into the word. Teach them. You have to study so that you may have what to teach to those who are being converted. Also, he says that he says that exercise careful oversight over the families. When you're pastoring families. So, visit them. Take concern of them. This is where I encourage us to visit the people that you are pastoring. Know what is going on in their families. Just create friendship. Let them know that you're taking care of them. Let them know that you pray for them by visiting them. Take a step, leave your office and go to them. That's what he speaks. He does a good job, and I want to tell you that, please, if you don't have this book, this one is ministry need, but he has a new version of it, but there's another version which is reformed pastor, all those books, you can read them. And if you don't have one, please, you can contact me. I have a soft copy that I can be able easily to share with you of the book that you can read and be able to be blessed and embrace your ministry as well. As I end up, this is a prayer that I just quote from this very book when I was reading it, and I never wanted to go beyond. This is what a prayer is all about. I pray that the Lord will continue to raise up men for the ministry, men like Richard Baxter. This is the best way to promote the work of the gospel and to dispel the errors and confusion that abounds in our churches today. May God bless you so much as you endeavor to read this book, Ministry Need or Reformed Pastor by Richard Baxter. Blessings. Thank you.